Hey guys, welcome to Sim Racing Paddock. I'm William Marsh, and this is our review on Assetto Corsa. Now, I've kind of been behind on doing reviews on a lot of the popular racing titles and sharing my opinion, so I wanted to do this series talking about a lot of the popular sim racing titles and my thoughts on them. And kicking that off, we're going to do Assetto Corsa. Assetto Corsa is seen by many in the sim racing community as a spiritual successor to netKar Pro, which was an underrated gem in the sim racing community. netKar Pro featured some of the most advanced driving physics in any racing simulator at the time, and featured elements such as dynamic visual tire wear and rain modeling way back in 2007. Another cool feature was the ability to click on different buttons in the car, like in a flight simulator. However, the lack of single player and a very limited third-party community led to this sim not gaining the attention it could have, and I think should have deserved. Enter Assetto Corsa. Originally announced in December of 2011, Kunos Simulazioni announced that Assetto Corsa would be a huge advancement from its predecessor and would incorporate new features such as single player against the AI, an open-ended ecosystem promote modding, and also acquiring officially licensed content. Oh yeah, netKar Pro only had 3 out of its 15 pieces of content that were officially licensed. The Fiat 500 Abarth AC, the Osella PA21S, and the Trento Bondone Hill Climb. With Assetto Corsa, Kunos features a myriad of officially licensed content, including cars from manufacturers such as Ferrari, Lamborghini, and now Porsche. With this game plan shown in full for the sim racing community, sim racers were very eager to get a taste of Assetto Corsa when the tech preview launched in 2013. In the tech demo, you were able to take a supercharged Lotus Elise to Magione and drive hot laps. The physics felt good, and we had something to get excited about. Fast forward through the release in November 2013 via Steam's Early Access, and the 1.0 release about a year later, and a lot of patches and updates in the past 2.5 years, and that takes us to now. So how does Assetto Corsa fare now, in July of 2017? Well, in my simple explanation, is that Assetto Corsa has taken a few giant leaps ahead of netKar Pro, but has also taken a few small steps back. In the majority of the categories, Assetto Corsa absolutely dominates netKar Pro. Physics, car and track count, single player, customizability, modding, online play, Assetto Corsa has that in spades. Back in 2011, Kunos laid down their plan for what they wanted Assetto Corsa to be, and I'd say they did exactly what they planned to do nearly 6 years ago. In terms of driving, Assetto Corsa is definitely one of the top contenders in sim racing. The cars behave realistically, and a lot of the driving mechanics work well together. Building off the dynamic tire model in netKar Pro, Assetto Corsa enhanced that, and has also incorporated tire buildup and tracks rubbering in. Different drivetrains are simulated, including turbocharged and hybrid systems. Engine and transmission damage is also simulated effectively as well. There are a few gripes though, namely when driving cars that largely rely on aerodynamic grip. It seems that those cars tend to struggle in low-speed corners. I talked with David Dominguez, who does physics for some of the mods for Assetto Corsa, like the very popular Formula RSS2 and the Formula Hybrid, and he stated that the physics engine in Assetto Corsa has some issues when it comes to stiff cars and body roll. It's not a deal breaker, but it is something worth mentioning. Assetto Corsa has a first-party roster featuring over 100 cars and over 20 tracks with 39 variants. Almost all of the tracks are laser scanned, with Zandvoort, Trento Bondone, the 1966 configuration of Monza, historic Silverstone, Highlands, and Black Cat County being the exceptions. The majority of the content is very impressive and is quite enjoyable. Out of all of the available PC sims, I would say that Assetto Corsa has the most content in terms of cars that I would want to drive. However, some of the best content is only available as paid DLC content, such as the modern Ferrari F1 cars, most of the Porsches, and the Le Mans prototype race cars. In the future, I would love to see an Ultimate Edition package for Assetto Corsa with all of the DLC included, or at the very least, a full DLC pass on Steam. In terms of display support, Assetto Corsa has some of the best support for multiple options available. In addition to single and true triple screen support, the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive are supported. The Vive is supported through the OpenVR protocol, so in theory, other headsets can be supported. It's worth mentioning that as of July 2017, the OpenVR protocol is still in a bit of a beta state, so it's not going to be perfect, but it is definitely functional. Another thing I really like about Assetto Corsa is how the UI is handled. The UI is controlled via apps, and you can add or subtract them to make the UI your own creation in driving. Assetto Corsa supports third-party apps as well, so that can really help with your driving. I really like the Sidekick app myself, and that brings a lot of information in a relatively small package. As mentioned before, single-player races are a notable addition to Assetto Corsa. The AI was known to be relatively poor in early releases, but the recent version 1.14 update has brought some considerable updates and has made for a more authentic experience. I did notice some minor issues at times with some third-party mods, but that might be chalked up to external circumstances. But with first-party content and most mods, they provide an awesome racing experience. There are key elements for single and multiplayer play that lag behind. Racing rule options are still relatively minimal, and career mode still lags behind other titles, feeling a bit like an afterthought. I would also love to see the ability to run longer endurance races and to maybe incorporate driver swaps in the future, like iRacing or rFactor 2. Now, I've heard that there are possibly some third-party utilities that support driver swaps, but I would love to see it implemented in a first-party update. When Assetto Corsa was announced to feature compatibility for modding, the community decided to latch on, and it shows. Over 100 cars and over 300 tracks are now available for the sim. However, they are in varying levels and quality, ranging from acceptable to absolutely amazing. Some of the content, such as the Honda NSX, Le Mans, and Donington Park, could be seen as must-have content for the sim. However, sometimes updates to the sim can break the mods, so keep that in mind that the third-party mods are also dependent on support by the modders. Online play is somewhat of a mixed bag for Assetto Corsa, but there is an active community around it. Kunos seemed to make some somewhat questionable decisions, such as not having the ability to select your livery for the car. Also, as mentioned before, the lack of racing rules is somewhat disappointing in terms of simulating different racing series. Third-party utilities such as Sim Racing System have helped patch that gap, but I feel that Kunos could have done a lot better with what they had for first-party support. There is no denying that Assetto Corsa is a great title and is a solid progression from netKar Pro. However, it's the trivial things that end up holding Assetto Corsa back. Assetto Corsa is a heck of a driving simulator, but it feels somewhat of a gimped racing simulator. netKar Pro featured elements such as rain on the track, full racing rules, and some features that may have been ahead of their time. One example was a more realistic repair/garage adjustment mode that would make setup adjustments and car repairs take longer, more akin to real life. This wasn't a very popular feature, but it was also easy to turn off if you didn't like it. It was nice to have that option though for people looking for the most realistic experience possible. With Assetto Corsa, it feels like Kunos decided to play it safe. They didn't take many drastic risks, no wild innovation, etc. I would have loved to see Kunos take the quirky bits of netKar Pro and bring them to Assetto Corsa to make it even more of an in-depth title. Imagine if those clickable buttons on the car came to Assetto Corsa. And speaking of clickable buttons, can we please get more advanced driving controls? Or even the ability to map ignition and starters? I find it strange that this is the only racing sim that doesn't allow you to do that. I know I'm getting a little nitpicky, but still. In addition, you can't even adjust button mappings while in the sim itself. You have to exit, go into the settings, adjust it, and then remap. That can get slightly irritating at times when you're getting used to a new wheel or you're switching between cars. I wanted to close with this. The great thing with the modern age of racing simulators is that anything can change. Kunos has confirmed that racing rules are in development and will likely help flesh out the racing side of the simulator. Weather is unlikely, unfortunately, for Assetto Corsa, and likely will be held back for Assetto Corsa 2, but crazier things have happened. Time will tell, but Assetto Corsa is still a great title, and it's one that I can easily recommend. Now, let's get to the pros and cons. Let's start with the pros. Solid physics, including dynamic tire model and track buildup. Best car roster of any PC-based sim. Great track list with plenty of variations. Can truly be a beautiful racing title. Active modding community brings a variety of content to the sim. The AI has seen some solid improvements. The simulation of different powertrains. Apps can bring solid customization to the UI. Solid Oculus Rift and VR implementation. And now for the cons. Limited racing rules. Limitations in online racing and lobbies. The best content is locked behind DLC barriers. No weather or dynamic day to night. Career mode feels tacked on. Now, let's address the question, would I recommend Assetto Corsa? I would say it's a no-brainer. Assetto Corsa is definitely one of the most immersive titles in sim racing, and despite it being relatively hindered on the racing side, it's a great title that you can get a lot of enjoyment out of. So this was my review on Assetto Corsa as of July 2017. As time goes on, I might do a follow-up review, but these are my thoughts as of right now. I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about Assetto Corsa? Let us know in the comments. Also, if you like this video, please hit that like and subscribe button down below and help keep us on track. Also, check out simracingpaddock.com, check out our forums, and join the community. For the Sim Racing Paddock, I'm William Marsh, and you have a great rest of your day.